Hey, how you doing? Mike Gross here, Rocking Guitar Lessons. Shh! No! Hey, how you doing? Mike Gross. Get! Hey, how you doing? Mike Gross here, Rocking Guitar Lessons. And I have a question from Cheryl Statsworth. Am I saying that right? But I get these once in a while, and I like to get to, I guess we'll just call them the Q&As, and they change sometimes because I have a pretty diverse set of internal things that have influenced me, and it kind of depends on the day sometimes. But what are some things that inspired me to want to play guitar? So I started playing in 1982. So, you know, MTV had just come out. It was the, as we call it now, the hair metal era of music. But it was also an era where, you know, you shifted from the 70s, which had some great stuff, but, you know, the cats like George Lynch and Eddie Van Halen, you know, were influenced a lot by those bands, Zeppelin and Cream, and Bad Company, Foghat, which I like too. But starting to play guitar in 82, you know, we had Randy Rhoads fresh on the scene, you know, playing with Ozzy, and just some killer players, Brad Gillis, and it became like music kind of shifted from this more, from kind of a earthy, almost jam bandy sometimes from the 70s, you know, great players, but it's like the bar got set higher. I don't know if I should even say higher, if that makes sense. But put it to you this way, I would rather, you know, grow up playing guitar in that era that I grew up playing it in, having players like, you know, Matthias Jabs from Scorpions, and Steve Vai and Paul Gilbert, Jason Becker, of course Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jeff Watson, the list goes on and on, Steve Lynch from Autograph, just all these monster players, Vito Bratta, Eddie Van Halen, you know, being king, in my opinion, him and Randy Rhoads, you know. So, being that I started playing guitar, you know, I remember Quiet Riot being a big thing with, you know, Mental Health, and just loving Carlos Cavazos playing. Real exciting time to start learning guitar, because there was so many good players to draw off of, you know. Solos were, for a lot of these players, worked out like you would work out a song format. Guitar solos were like that. Just, you know what I'm talking about, especially if you grew up playing in the 80s like I did, you know, waiting for the solo for Mr. Crowley. Or I remember hearing In My Dreams from Dokken, and hearing that solo, or the beginning riff and Lay It Down from Rav with Warren DeMartini, and the solo in that literally make your hair stand up on your arms and on my head too, and it never dropped. It just stayed. No, just kidding. I had hair way down to my back then. But so, you know, I drew influence obviously off of my surroundings, that I was listening to these players that I just mentioned at that time. There's plenty more. Malmsteen, the list goes on and on. Michael Schenker, Alex Lifeson, just a lot of great players. Satriani, Rick Emmett, Uli John Roth. Then, you know, it seems like my first couple of years I was just infatuated with these players. After I got a few years under my belt, I remember, you know, getting like Circus Magazine and Hit Parade. Those were big for us metalheads back then, and reading interviews, you know, basically like what I'm doing with you, asking these guitar players, my guitar heroes at the time, you know, and Oz Fox, and we have Michael Sweet, just all these bands, but like, you know, what influenced them. So one in particular that I remember was they were interviewing Matthias Jabs, who's one of my favorites, and you don't hear him talked about enough, in my opinion. Just tasteful player, melodic, flashy, tone, technique, everything. But they were asking him who he listened to, and I remember one of his answers was Johnny Winter. So, you know, I looked up Johnny Winter and realized, man, you know, you wouldn't necessarily think he was influenced by him, because Johnny is just all out blues player in your face, you know. But we're all products of what we listen to, and we turn stuff into our own style and we modernize things. But that was one of Matthias's influences. I mean, if you look at Malmsteen's, you know, some of them you would understand, you know, Bach and players like that. But others you may not hear a whole lot of a huge influence in their playing compared to who they listen to. But the idea is we draw our influence, that inspires us, right? And we learn these riffs. For me, learning Mr. Crowley and learning to play it right. Jakey Lee, another player that I forgot to mention, just fabulous, you know. But learning those and then kind of doing your own thing with them. And kind of making them your own, so to speak. So, for me, and then prior to that it was Kiss, you know. Before I played guitar, it was Ace Frehley and the smoke coming out of that Les Paul and me being so intrigued by Kiss. You know, and the Beatles I liked a lot. But when I started playing, it was 82, man. We're talking Rhodes, Eddie Van Halen, all these players. So that's really what grabbed my attention. Picked it up, never put it back down. Here I am, 2017. Been teaching since 1992. Played in several bands and, you know, getting to play with Stryper. And a lot of cool opportunities have come because of it. More opportunities have happened for me since opening my YouTube channel in 2012 than all my years prior to that. Playing in bands, trying to get signed, doing this, you know. Now I'm endorsing Schecter guitars and just started, you know, with rocket pedals for my effects. But anyways, there's some Q&A answers for you. Let me know the same in the comments below, where you're at, your influences, what inspired you, okay? Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Follow me on social media. Check out my paid services and all that good stuff. And keep your Q&As coming. I know that I'll take a break for a few months, but I always come back to it. We do everything music around here. So if it's music related, you'll find it here on this channel. Obviously, it's primarily teaching. But I appreciate each and every one of you. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. Right there. See it? Subscribe. Share these. Until next time, I'm Mike Gross. Keep rocking.